This is Gavin McDaniel. I'm going to discuss the changes from the 2020 FDM to the 2021 FDM to Chapter 210. Table 210.2.1 was modified to allow for on high-speed curved roadways, single left turn lanes at directional median openings, 11-foot minimum lane widths. On 210.2.4, we clarified our intended criteria for cross slopes on outside auxiliary lanes. We also modified in Table 210.2.3, the outside auxiliary lanes on flush shoulder roadways must match or exceed adjacent travel lane cross slopes with a maximum cross slope of 4%. One of the biggest changes to Chapter 210 was that we moved criteria for islands from FDM 212, which is the intersections chapter, to FDM 210, arterials and collectors. This was done because there is also island criteria for mid-block crossings, and it was a better organization and fit. FDM 210.3 was previously named medians. However, we've expanded that section to include medians, islands, and hardened center lines. We added criteria and figures for pedestrian refuge islands at intersections, and we also added criteria and figures for hardened center lines. Here's 210.3, where we've changed the title and made medians a subsection of 210.3. We've also included a subsection for islands, and this is the part that was pulled over from FDM 212. We've also clarified the functional classification of the islands, and we added the use of tubular markers at these locations for additional delineation. In 210.3.2.1, we've clarified the dimensional requirements for channelization islands. In 210.3.2.2, we've added item 7, which states that approach noses must extend across the crosswalk at intersections to control left turn speeds and encourage pedestrian use of crosswalk. Use tubular markers as shown in the figures as channelizing devices. For median widths greater than or equal to 6 feet, you're required to use a refuge island, and these are depicted in figure 210.3. For median widths less than 6 feet, you're required to use hardened center lines, and see FDM 210.3.3 for hardened center lines. Section 210.3.2.3, entitled Refuge Islands, was brought over from 212 and expanded to include refuge islands at intersections. Previously, it only included mid-block pedestrian refuge islands. This incentivizes the use of crosswalks at intersections, and it also improves pedestrian safety by reducing turning speeds of left-turning motorists, and it also improves the approach angle of left-turning motorists. These figures show occurrences where we might have depressed crossings, and on RRR projects, there may not be enough room to place a concrete median nose. Section 210.3.3 is for hardened center lines. Hardened center lines also improve the safety of pedestrians by reducing turning speeds of left-turning motorists and improving the approach angle of left-turning motorists. Here's some examples of hardened center lines with the use of traffic separator. The channelizing curb may be used where nose extension creates challenges for control vehicle turning radii. See new developmental specification DEV 704CC for the use of channelizing curb. Here's some examples of hardened center lines where there is no traffic separator or median. See the webinar for FDM 230 for more information on tubular markers. 210.4 was expanded by language that was previously in the drainage manual. This is a better fit for the criteria, and that's why it was moved here. We modified Table 210.4.1 for standard shoulder widths. This was a clarification of the existing criteria where we separated out the full width shoulder requirements and the paved width shoulder requirements for clarification. We modified 210.5.1 for high-speed curb roadways, clarified that the median offsets were not required for the left turn lanes adjacent to traffic separators or Type E curbs. Section 210.6 was expanded to include guidance on placement of sod. Thank you. This is the end of the presentation.